with the recording.
And
Yeah.
Stop it for now, na? Rupanjali?
Yep. So good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our testing sessions today. So last time, wherever we stopped, we'll be covering from there. So I'll just have a quick introduction about myself. So I am Rupanjali Mishra. I have been the core team of Women Who Code chapter from the very early stage. I've been the mentor for testing as well as some other technology track. And I'll be helping Hari today because of some other issues in his side. So I'll be helping him out. So having said that, we'll just move out to the Women Who Code chapter thing. So we'll just have a quick introduction about the Women Who Code chapter. We all know our mission is very clear. We are here to inspire the women to excel in their technology career. And our vision is to have a diversity women background who can represent our engineers and tech leaders. We have a very good code of conduct which says that we are an inclusive community and we are dedicated in empowering experience for everyone who participates or supports our community regardless of gender, identity, expression, sexual orientation, physical appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, economic status, caste, creed, political background, or any preferred programming language. So our events are intended to inspire women to excel in technological career, and anyone who is there for this purpose is always warm welcomed. We do not tolerate any kind of harassment to our members in any of the forums. So our code of conduct applies to all the Women Who Code chapter events which are done online through various communities. And having said that, I think we have the entire audience. We have the trainer for our day, which is Balaji. He's going to carry forward from here. So Balaji, it's up all over to you now.
Thank you, Rupanjali. Before handing over to Balaji, I would like to quickly give a quick intro about Balaji. So
Sure.
Balaji is like an experienced professional with almost 14 years of experience on both manual and automation testing. And Balaji is very much passionate about knowledge sharing, and he has hosted multiple sessions, and he is always there to support any kind of cause with respect to the volunteering service. So today, Balaji has volunteered to host this session on the testing, and that too especially with respect to the community. Thank you, Balaji. With that, I would like to hand over the control to Balaji to take forward the session.
Sure. Thanks, Hari. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank Rupanjali and Hari for this opportunity. And I would like to share my knowledge. Rather, I conduct this as a typical meeting. I would like to share my experience and exposure with different tools and automation, which helps you definitely in your career at some point of time. And definitely, there are different audiences present here in this forum will be able to take away few automation milestones which they want to achieve in their career. So I'd be happy to help with respect to Tosca. And on that note, I'll share my screen quickly. And probably from the next, from the previous session, what I would like to carry forward is that, what Tosca offers. Before that, definitely I can see what Tosca and what is Tosca and who's invented that Tosca and who is the ownership of the Tosca Tricentis, as we all know. Before that, I would like to cover upon what's the framework idea which brings in for any automation tool has to be followed by any organization. So from that point, I will start my presentation, or I'll start my knowledge sharing with you guys, and you can stop me at any point of time if you guys find it able to understand. At any point of time, you can stop me. From there, we will discuss, and finally we'll have a Q&A session. And definitely in that Q&A session, what are the key takeaways which you guys are looking forward, and from there, what are the expectations from you guys regarding Tosca. I can help you with that, career points and career advice, as well as installation and any technical issues which you guys come across are going to, face. So on that note, I'll share my screen.
Yeah, Balaji, Hari here, Balaji. Sorry to interrupt you. So yesterday, like covered the Tosca, which was basically an introduction. So prior to getting started, I just wanted to confirm with the participants, like any kind of questions that you had based on the yesterday's session. So yesterday, like Balaji, Sneha had covered the intro to the automation testing, and as well as like she demonstrated like the introduction with respect to the Tosca tool. So I want the participants to be vocal, and if there are any questions, please, this is the right forum. There is a lot of energy and effort that is being spent in hosting this session, so we request to utilize it effectively. I know like there was one question which was posted on the RISE participant chart with respect to the installation. We'll take it that also here. But apart from that, like any other kind of questions which the participants have before we get started with today's session. Participants, Firdos, Jaya, Vaishali, Manasa.
Yes, hi, this is Vaishali. I actually wanted to, go through that Tosca architecture again.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Okay, anything else? Sneha, Sweta, Sahiti. We don't want to pull out anyone's name, but the objective here is like we want it to be more interactive rather than like just hosting a session and then like saying that it is done for the day. So that's where like we are just trying to be a little bit aggressive here, and we want the audience feedback here to convey like what exactly did they have some kind of questions or such kind of stuff. I see like Ruth has responded that she didn't attend the yesterday's session. That's fine, Ruth. Yesterday, like as I said, it was basically an introduction to the automation testing. What is the purpose of the automation testing? And then like we moved on like looking into the different features of automation testing, especially using the tool of Tosca. And Sneha, the trainer, had just went through and explored or explained the different features of the Tosca tool. So there is nothing much that you are going to miss, because like we know that you are all from different backgrounds, and like you are again resuming after a long break, and we are just trying to be a little bit lenient and explaining or repeating the same topics. So for the first 10-15 minutes, again, I think like Balaji is going to spend time on explaining them, and then again we will get started with the actual this thing. So yes, any other questions, thoughts, suggestions before we get started? Okay. Not, I think Balaji. So we can just go ahead and again get started with the same. It should be like something which we can definitely do that. Thank you.
Sure, Hari. Thank you. I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Yes, with respect to attendees who has not part of the yesterday's discussion, definitely I will touch upon whatever the previous sessions has been covered on the high note for a few minutes, and so that you can get a gist of Tosca and what is Tosca is all about and what it offers as an automation tool to any organization for that matter. And from there, what is the kind of framework which it uses and why the framework is required. So all those basic questions, definitely helps from the career point of view. And that's the first step of, learning any automation for that matter. Because first of all, you need to understand that on the whole, like software development lifecycle starts off with a requirement and then design and then coding and then testing, and then it goes for a support, and it goes on a cycle. So before you understand or before you pursue a career in testing, you need to understand that why testing is, and from there what type of testing is offered, or what type of testing we can do on any application. Automate, like using the available in the market, so that it's easy forward with the adoption of that tool. All right. So yes. So before we go to get into Tosca, right? So Tosca is automation tool, which enterprise framework, which automates your functional testing. For example, what is functional testing is
Hello, Balaji. I have muted everybody. Please unmute yourself and start it from again.
sure.
There was some background music, background disturbance, so I muted everybody. Please continue.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Rupanjali. Yeah. Before we start Tosca, right? So, what's the idea come up for Tricenters, as an organization to give, this tool to any organization to perform testing in an effective manner or automated manner, right? So, first of all, just understand this terminology, that is model-based testing. Just forget about Tosca. Like, what is model-based testing is all about. So try to understand that first, and from there I will touch upon what are the different terminologies which is associated with Tosca, and then what are the other tools which are available for the functional testing as a peer or as a peer competitor to the Tosca. All right. So model-based testing. So what is model-based testing is all about? So let's consider our any day-to-day application. For example, you log into Amazon.com, right? And you have an account or you have an app and you have an Amazon.com, and using that Amazon e-commerce product, you just log in, right? And then from there you just search for a product, right? And then you just compare that with different products which you are looking for, and then you buy the best one based on the ratings and all that, and from there you just go ahead and paste that in the cart or add items to that cart, and from there you just pay an amount from your bank, and that is getting delivered to your home, right? So if you see this real-time scenario, right? So there are many use cases involved here, right? Because Amazon.com is a web platform or application which offers you or sells the product of different from different areas or different categories, and then it eases your work, right? So which means in real time, right, it is
Hey, hey, Balaji, your voice is breaking.
that is, you know
Balaji, your voice is breaking.
so what is it okay now?
Yeah, it's better now. Can you just repeat the last few seconds thing which you said?
Sure. Yeah. Let's say that Amazon.com, in which we log in and then search for a product, and then add that product to your cart, and then go ahead and pay your amount for that product, and then it's get delivered to your home. So which eases of all your actions are buying your manual stuff, like you have to go to a mall and then purchase a mobile. So all these real-time actions have been bring into one app as a model. So that's what Amazon does, right? So now if you say that you want to automate this particular activity, right? Because it's not every day, every day we are not going to purchase a one product, we are going to purchase a different product, right? And whatever Amazon offers, we may like or we may not like, but still we go and search for the product, right? So in day-to-day activity, it happens, right? So in that case, when you consider this as a model, right? So Amazon is a system under which you have a model, right? So which you are buying a product from that system, right? It's a partial description of a system, right? That is called model, and from there you are deriving a test. So, for example, login is a test, and you sign up. Before you log in, you need to sign up, right? So that sign up is a test, right? Registering into Amazon.com is a test, and from there login is an test, and from there searching for an item is a use case or test, and from there placing a product, and from there paying, and just navigated to the payment gateway where you choose your bank where you are associated with an account, and from there you log in there. That's a third party account that I'll come to that later. But what you are doing, all these actions are called abstract tests. Okay, and these abstract tests you are executing in what called system, that is Amazon.com. All right, and now if you see here, this is a cycle, right? So any activity for that matter in real time has to be automated, right? So that's where this model based testing emerges. Okay, and now let's come to Tosca. In Tosca, Tricentis had an idea, right? Like, okay, some functional testers are doing the testing day in, day out, right? Like banking, whether it is banking domain or retail domain or insurance domain, right? They do testing and they write thousands and thousands of test cases, and they perform testing manually, right? And when they do that manually and they give kind of that product to the, let's take the same example of Amazon.com, where I wanted to do that activity, that purchasing a product for 1,000 products. So if I test that 1,000 products, is it feasible or is it realistic? No, right? That's where the automation comes into picture, where any product for that matter, SDLC lifecycle, we used to say, right? SDLC, software development lifecycle. So Tricentis looked at the SDLC stages itself as a model. Okay, like collecting a requirement, right? And from there, writing a test case for that, right? And from there, automating that test case, and then executing it, and then from there, if at all it is not working, then you just go and log a defect. All these things, right? All these things will be coming into the one platform. That is the Tosca Enterprise Suite is all about. Okay, and as you see here, Dev and Ops, right? DevOps. So what it says is this is the umbrella, Tosca umbrella, right? So as you see here, risk-based testing, test management, manual testing. I can do manual testing also using Tosca, and then analytics, API testing, and BI, continuous integration, test data management, load testing, impact analysis, service visualization, exploratory testing. See, all these has been considered as a model. Okay, and when you log into Tosca, right, you will be seeing many
Balaji, Hari here, Balaji.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. I have a question here, Balaji.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this exploratory testing means actually? Like I heard this term, but to be frank, like I didn't get the complete meaning of it. Can you please help me?
Sure.
Exploratory.
Yeah. Sure. Exploratory testing doesn't have, it is the ad hoc way of performing a testing in any application. For that matter, if I say functional testing, it has a process in place where you need to have a test plan, and you need to have a test scenario, and then you need to have a test approach defined, and from there that test scenarios has to be divided into separate test cases, and all these things happens in manual testing, that is functional testing. Okay, and when I say testing, it has white box testing and black box testing, right? So when I say black box testing, under the black box testing, there are different types of testings available. So under that, exploratory testing is one of the stuff where you don't have any agenda or criteria to test. Okay, and you simply test and you find it. Okay, for example, let's take my example where I am a QA to Amazon.com. Okay, and I have a suite of test cases to perform a login and perform a test, perform a search and all this. Okay, and let's say tomorrow you are joining this team. Okay, and I didn't share you any test case. Okay, I didn't share you any test case or any scenario. I just told you that, hey, this Amazon.com is a website. You just go and register yourself and do some exploratory testing. That's all I will say. Okay. And what you do, you don't follow any process like test scenario, test process, nothing. You will not have any stipulated agenda, right? So what you do is you go and explore that application. And as part of that application, all of a sudden you find something weird, okay? And you are trying to sign out, it is not happening, okay? And you don't know that a sign out is a separate use case. For that, there are different scenarios or a different way of, clicking it and different way of, logging out of the session and all these things. I may know because I am a dedicated QA to that system, but you are newly joined a QA member, right? But still you go and identify that, right? So that is called exploratory testing. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that helps, Balaji. And then there is a follow-up question. So as such, like there is no defined methodology or defined process or defined way of doing the things. So it's all about like depending upon the aptitude of the tester to do this testing. So there is nothing defined actually, like it's all like exploration kind of stuff with respect to that product or feature that is in question of testing, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you generally take testing itself, right? Testing is the perspective of the user, okay? And we do testing from the end user standpoint, okay? And when you say requirement, right? So in SDLC, we start off with the requirement, right? But when you say requirement itself, right? For the specific users only, right? For example, tomorrow, right now we are having so many cars, right? In Hyundai, but all of a sudden, Kia introduces some new car, right? Because they have the customer expectations. I know already Hyundai Kia is good, but they are coming up with a new requirement, new design, and all of a sudden, what will they do for? And ultimately it's for the end users, expectations and end users, support, right? End user for which they wanted to improve their relationship, right? So that's why so many products emerges out. So from my point of view, testing is not about process. Yes, it is about process and methodologies. In a way, in organizations like financial institutions, bank, in insurance domain, healthcare domain, but still it is done on the end user perspective.
Sure, that helps, Balaji. Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's move on. So any questions so far in model-based testing? Because I just want you to understand this better so that I can get into Tosca and I can explain you the various features of it. Yes, I'm going to cover on the Tosca architecture part, but any questions on the risk-based testing so far? Okay, I'll take that as no, and let's move on to the architecture part.
Balaji, Hari here, Balaji again.
Yes.
So when we say like the model-based testing is like it's kind of like a methodology that we follow, or what exactly it is?
It's model-based testing is the framework, Hari,
Okay.
because for example, I can say you have some design framework, right? For example, .NET has a framework and Java has a framework, right? But any testing, when you say .NET, it's a technology or it's a programming platform, right? But similarly, Tosca is also, using this .NET as a, technology platform. But when you've been asked, like, okay, why is this Tosca is for, right? So what Tosca's framework is all about, right? What is the basic idea of deriving this model-based testing framework, right? So model-based testing is basically an approach or a framework, which is, used by, yes, model-based testing was exist before Tosca also, but Tricentis adapted that approach to define the framework in .NET platform.
So, Balaji, I'm
Yes.
Raj Lakshmi here. So, like to work with Tosca, this .NET is a mandatory technology to be learned, or how it is?
Not necessarily. To install a Tosca, you should have a .NET basic versions or patch versions to be installed in your system, and it should be a high configuration system because you should have a 8 GB RAM and .NET patch versions has to be installed, and that will come up with the Tosca suite itself. But to operate with Tosca, came to the market like a codeless framework, or you don't have to write a lot of code. Okay, and when I say you don't have to write a code or scriptless framework, it doesn't mean that Tosca offers everything. Okay, because different application offers a different functionalities for which you may have to write a code. Yes, they have give the options to write a feature or write a code in .NET, and which you can compile along with Tosca, and you can use it onto your application. Again, case to case it varies, but to operate with Tosca and perform a basic UI testing and database testing, you don't have to have a .NET knowledge. You just have to have an end-to-end knowledge of your application. And
Okay.
when if you have a detailed knowledge of your application, I mean, what is the use case which you are acting with, or what is the requirement you are working with, whether it can be with the UI, whether it can be with the data validation, or it can be with the ETL related verifications, data verifications, and behaviors and migrations. So all these things can be automated using Tosca with various features. But all thing you need to know is, like, you need to understand your application better, and Tosca offers various features. I would say 70%, right? 70% of application can be automated without a script, without writing a zero script. And that's the way Tosca operates right now.
Oh, it's great, Bala. Yeah, thank you so much. And with respect to the like model-based testing, you have shared one flow diagram kind of thing. In that one, Bala, like you have told that we are having the abstract test, because like each and every activity, like whatever we perform, like as an example, we took the Amazon activity of booking a product, etc., until up to deliverable. So like whatever we are doing, like everything comes under the abstract testing, like each and every like activity, step of activity, that's fine, but they are executed in the system. Like with our example, it is like Amazon, like where this model comes into picture, like in between the abstract testing and the system, we are introducing one thing called model, and we are telling is a partial description of system. So there I'm having little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I can explain. Not a problem. Right. So just understand this diagram in a you start with the system. Okay, Amazon is a system. Okay, and you are deriving a model that is a partial description of the system. That is, login as a model, right? Sign up as a model, and then searching for a product is a model, right? So these collectively offers in the system called Amazon.com. Okay, and that's why it is saying model is a partial description of the system. Okay, and now you have your models or use cases ready. That is, you know what to perform an action on this system, right? So you know what are the models or use cases which you wanted to operate with, right? And from there, as a tester, what is your next step? Being a manual QA or being an automation QA, what is your next step? Deriving a test, right? So for those models, you will derive a test, right? So login. So login with the different users and the test data combinations, and then password for which you have a lot of encryption technology which is used by different applications that has to be tested. All will be coming for the login model or login use case itself, right? And those are called abstract tests, right, in Tosca. Okay, and then whatever you do in this abstract test in test case feature in Tosca, you are doing that, you are just pulling that test case into the execution module of Tosca, and then you execute it. Where you are executing? You are executing against a system called URL called Amazon. Okay.
Okay. Yes, Bala. Now it's pretty much clear. Thank you so much for your explanations. It's pretty clear. Thanks a lot, Bala. Yeah.
Great. Any further questions?
Bala, Hari again, Bala.
Yes.
So in the market right now, I hear we got different products like Selenium is there, Tosca is there, Qtest is there, Quality Center is there, RPT Rational Performance Tester is there. So at a high level, any idea what would be the market share, or how much usage we have Tosca compared to the rest of the tools, Bala?
Sure. Tosca is, frankly to say, it's a very huge, competitor to the ALM UFT. That is, it was earlier owned by the HP team, and right now it is part of Micro Focus, right? So Tosca's license cost is very huge, where service industries cannot afford, or they may have it, in chunk, but they may not have it as a whole. But financial institutions, banking domains and healthcare domains started adapting this Tosca because they wanted to convert all the functional testers in the agile platform. Because right now, if you see in last 10 years, okay, and within my career itself, I can say that when I joined in Bank of America in 2015, right? So everything was in waterfall model, right? But slowly, right now, world has moved to agile. Not only the bank, every company has moved to agile, right? So in part of this agile, you want your QA not to test any application functionally all the time, and still you are getting a production defect, right? And again, analyzing that and doing that is a tedious task, right? So in order to transform your resource, that is your functional testers, QA, into hybrid or complete automation engineers, Tosca plays a vital role. That's where Tosca's stake come into picture, right? And definitely whoever learn Tosca, definitely they get very good opportunities. But having said that, I suggest don't just go with you don't have a coding knowledge and you cannot learn any automation tool for that matter. No, not like that. Definitely you learn Tosca with your little bit of coding attitude, or understand the framework, or understand what Tosca offers. That itself will give a lot of opportunities. But in terms of license cost with other tools, like every tool for that matter, this is my personal experience, this is my personal view about automation tools. Every automation tool in the market right now is having one or other disadvantages or limitations or challenges. Okay, but one tool's advantage can be a limitation in another tool, but you cannot compare that. Okay, and when you pursue Tosca as a tool, definitely it offers the various features of the SDLC, and definitely way ahead. Definitely, service companies also will look to make their resources not only to execute them functionally all the time. So definitely Tosca, whoever aspiring career in Tosca, will have a great future.
And
Bala?
Balaji, okay, please go ahead.
No, you please proceed, Hari.
So I just want to understand, like, for example, if someone is predominantly onto the manual testing and they wanted to get their hands on onto the automation testing also. So what kind of skills or prerequisites are really needed, Bala?
First of all, I suggest them to learn the testing process, right? And then with respect to Tosca, it has everything in the support.triscientist.com. I suggest everyone to go get in, and right now Tosca definitely in the market. They are publicizing, or they are making many products, or they are making many courses, online courses, which is completely free. And from there, you will get a lot of idea to start with Tosca, where to start, how to install, and from there, what Tosca's license server is all about, and how Tosca's license works in the demo version. So all these things you will be able to learn. So this is the website. I can provide you this.
And I guess like this trial version is valid for 14 days, Balaji?
Yes, but what I suggest is, I'm not sure about the installation issue one of the member has faced, right? So I'm not sure whether .NET framework is installed correctly or not. Sometimes those issues may come. Just a sec, I'm trying to log in.
Yeah, for the benefit of everyone, I will read it out. So the issue that has been posted by Snehal Bandari is, I am stuck at certain point while registering on Triscientist site. What time zone to select, as I cannot find India as an option.
Okay, all right. Yeah, sure. I can address that. Not an issue. All right. So to start,
and there is one more issue too.
Okay. Yes, please.
We're unable to find the installation packages too.
Okay, so with demo versions, probably I'm not sure, where, these 8 packs are the downloads. You can download the latest files here in this website. I'm not sure, which the resources which they went on, and then they proceed with the installation. But generally, you will find the downloads over here. Okay, whether it is documentation for Tosca, installation guide, and what are the latest versions available, and all these things will be available here. And definitely, what are the products which you are looking for? For example, you go for a Triscientist Tosca manual, right? So just go and click it here. So you will get, as you see here, you see a lot of versions over here with the documentations and with the release notes and installation guide also. So installation guide, yes, it varies all the time case to case, because as the Tosca emerges with a different version, .NET framework also will go for a change, and that's why user might have faced few issues. And let's say these are all the system versions. Okay, let me quickly just say, see, this is the in order to install Tosca Commander version, you should have the software requirements. So that is, see, you don't have to install .NET framework in your system. As part of this Commander itself, it will install. Okay, and this is the .NET engine which Tosca understands basically, right? Because when you install a demo version in your system, definitely along with this Microsoft .NET framework patch versions will be installed in the background as well.
Sure, thanks, Bala. I just want to interrupt here. Sorry. So
okay.
I just want to confirm from the participants, like, did you give a try to get the Tosca installed? Because like so far in the previous sessions, we were discussing the manual testing, and we are good with the manual testing. And it is like from last session, we are focusing on the automation testing. And automation testing is all about tools, like either you take Tosca or Selenium. So that's wherein like you need to get your trial version installed and get it configured and get your hands on it. So I just want to confirm with the participants, did they give a try to get the software installed on your respective personal laptops? Maybe like we'll go with alphabetical order. Akila, Firdos.
Yes, sorry, I tried, but I required 8 GB RAM, right? So I have that issue.
Okay.
Today I'll clear that, and
Mhm.
once again we'll try to install.
Sure. And as just now Bala flash, there is definitely a prerequisite. Basically, it is for my understanding, Tosca is internally using the .NET framework, and whatever that Bala just shared, like the dependency with respect to the requisite runtime from the .NET framework, we need to take care of that. Please make a note of that. And what we suggest is definitely you need to get these tools installed on your personal laptops for hands-on. Because like, yes, theory, it might be covered, you might be good, but until and unless like you get your hands on it, it's not going to really help you with respect to gaining the knowledge or the experience. Sweta Sudala, can you please confirm, like, how about your personal system setup with
Yeah,
respect to
actually we have installed. Yesterday we
Mhm.
have installed it. We tried it.
Okay.
Just now what Balaji has opened the downloads, we couldn't find that while installing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bala, may I request you to just ping it on the Zoom link, Zoom chat, that particular URL, and then we'll move forward. Jaya Chitra. Any luck with respect to the configuration of your system with respect to Tosca? Joshna. Manasa.
Yeah. Yeah, Hari, I haven't present. Present, I
Yeah,
haven't.
did you give a try to get it installed, the Tosca component? If not, please give a try. And Murshita. Najato Ateiku, if I had pronounced it correctly. Nisha, Priyanka, Rajalakshmi, Ruth, Samuel, Sneha. Nehal, I think like you were the one you posted that query, right? You got the response to that, or are we good with respect to that? Vaishali?
Actually, I was trying to register, but it's asking for the business email or company name, all of that. So I was not aware what I have to, enter.
Yeah, business email actually, like in general, it should be something in an organization email address in which you are working. But in case if you are not working in any organization, I feel like, at least for my knowledge, you can just use your personal email address. And
Okay.
what was the next thing?
So that company name and all, it was asking.
Yeah, maybe like I think they just wanted to give that opportunity to someone who is already working in an organization. So you can just give some kind of like organization which you are working earlier and which you know, and then try to proceed with respect to the registration and getting that software installed on your local laptop.
Oh, okay, I'll try.
So yeah, at this moment, all I can say is like we request all the participants to get their systems up and running with the requisite configuration and as well as like requisite software, that is Tosca, for these hands-on. Okay, and I think like post this session today, definitely please work on that. And when we come up for the next Friday session, we'll just take the quick look on whatever the different things that you have faced, and we'll try to resolve it, and then we'll get started with the hands-on with your respective exercises. Okay, Sure. Thank you,
Yeah.
Balaji. I would like to hand over the control to you, Balaji.
Sure. Thanks, Hari. And yeah, I think just on the hardware requirement, I just want to give a clarity. If it works seamlessly in 8 GB RAM, laptops or system, right? But it will work with 4 GB RAM, but it will be very slow in response. Okay. And with respect to the accessing the Tosca's features, right? With 4 GB machine, definitely it will be on the slower side. But if you have 4 GB RAM, then it's easier. But it is not stopping you in any installation because 4 GB RAM will definitely help, but it will be on the slow side. Just want to give I think one of the participants have mentioned that, they had 4 GB RAM. But yes, you can go ahead with the installation. It's not that, Tosca definitely needs 8 GB RAM, but 8 GB RAM is to, effectively working on with Tosca. All right.
Balaji, like I'm having some basic question over here with Tosca. See, like for example, like I am like I know SQL and PLSQL, for example, and I have and I have some basic knowledge in Java and in Selenium automation, etc. Okay, so like with respect to that, how I can integrate with Tosca? So like the Tosca can be like integrated with any type of programming language, or how it is, Balaji?
Yes, yes, what happens here is, Tosca is a different tool altogether, okay? And in market, Tosca is a different tool, and whatever you had at the Selenium with Java is a different thing altogether, okay? Yes, you have, option to, migrate your scripts from Selenium to, Tosca, but if at all, if that is Java, right, it may or it and Selenium and Tosca is a two different ball game altogether. Okay, and Selenium is open source, and Selenium has its, definitely has its own better features and advantages. But it supports various languages, but in Tosca, as it built on a .NET framework, it supports VBS, that is Visual Basic, legacy application, and then VB.NET and C#. Okay, itself is built on, using Tosca, you can automate your web application. When it comes to the database related stuff, for that Tosca is offering various modules where we used to call it as standard modules and classic modules, and then Tosca B modules, that is business modules, perform database testing.
Okay, Bala.
For that, you don't need to have any coding knowledge. If at all you are very handy, Tosca, what it does, you need to do some pre-setup or preconditioning to server, and from there you will do, you will perform your database testing automation using Tosca.
Thanks, Bala. Yeah, got it.
Right. Okay, so let's move on with the Tosca architecture. Okay, so first I told about model-based testing, right? Now, as a Tosca tool, right? Tosca offers various tools, right? Tosca Commander and all that, right? So first, what we need to understand as an enterprise framework or architecture, okay? And this is the part which you guys are trying to install, that is Tosca Commander, okay? And in this, what are all the various features available? UI, business objects, test case design, and then test planning. Okay, and then Tosca itself is having its server where it stores your requirements and test cases and modules, and then execution list and your execution run, in Tosca Commander, for which it has its repository, which is there in SQL Server. Okay, this is a common repository. Okay, and from this common repository, it acts on the Tosca commander. Okay, and when you say these major blocks, Tosca commander, Tosca server, tbox, OSV, all these are written as a separate components in .NET, and which internally communicates, or with in enterprise framework of Tosca, it communicates via API. That's why you are seeing HTTPS. Okay, so what happens is, when you define a test case, for example, for Amazon.com, for which you have created a login test, as part of that, what you do, right? You just go here, right? Uh, let me go to Amazon.com. So this is your sign up page or login page. Okay, so as from automation engineer or a QA point of view, right? So suppose you wanted to test for that, for that Tosca to understand, right? What are the things which you wanted to do, right? So what I did first, I just logged in using Amazon.in. That is the URL which I used, and then I am having a username, and then I'm just just going to use this, right? And then I say continue, right? So if you see this as a use case, right? What Tosca has to do? Tosca has to know what is the URL you are using, what is the browser you are performing, and what is your application, and then what is your web object. Okay, and now if you see sign in as an option, right? And you enter various IDs. For example, I'm having Gmail ID, I'm having Hotmail ID, and you may have a different ID. And all these things which we are passing, which is called test data, right? Because as part of this login test, you are passing a data that is called test data. Okay, and then what you are doing, you are clicking on the button, right? This is, if this is your use case, what Tosca does is, as part of this UI in your test case design, you are going and capturing the modules. That is your first step. Okay, and when you do this in hands-on, you'll be able to understand that, but I just wanted to give a clear-cut knowledge, and from there I'll give an hands-on that will be useful to you. So what it does is, UI, which means you are capturing an object that is called business objects, and from there you are passing a data that is this TCD and TDM is the data, right? So for example, first time I'm passing the data as gmail.com, and next time I wanted to run this same test for hotmail.com as well, right? So then if it has to work for a different data, that data can be maintained in your test case design as well as in the TDM repository. This is the way Tosca offers you to maintain your test data. Okay, now you captured your data and you have your test data. You captured the web objects and you have a test data to pass in. And what you do next? You just do execution, right? So before you do execution, right? Let me emphasize on the part of scanning, right? So when I say
Balaji, Hari here, Balaji.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. So
Yes.
I have one question. What does this web objects really means?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I will answer that. Yeah, definitely. So I just don't want to say that from the technical standpoint, but in order to explain for all the audiences, right? So I will say what is web object is all about. Just a sec. I'm trying to push it over here. Okay, so now I'm trying to click here. What is happening here? Just a sec. So web objects, right? So if you treat this like a web page, that is ASP.NET or JSP page or whatever the technology which your web application or your application under test is there, right? What you are doing, you are trying to capture an object, right? So you are running this application in browser, any browser for that matter. It can be IE, it can be Mozilla, it can be Chrome, and what you are trying to do here, you are trying to inspect this element, right? What does inspect this element means? So it gives you the complete document object model of this web page. And in this document object model, you may have multiple web objects like text box, label, and hyperlink, and then button and drop downs and all that. Okay, and this collection of web objects has been used by your UI developer in the web application. For example, if you are doing a QA for any web application which is in the banking system or the financial institution or the insurance based or healthcare domain, what it does is your UI developer have designed that application with specific document object model. Okay, and he would have assigned the ID to this text box and this email and this sign in and this button. So all these called objects. Okay, any questions?
So to summarize, basically like the different kinds of controls or the objects that have been used as part of the UI design.
Absolutely correct. Yes, and if you see here, there are many things going on here when you perform. You are doing a simple launch of a web browser and launching a URL. That's what you are doing. But in the background, what is happening? It has its developer would have placed this button here also, right? But if he would have placed it here, their properties and objects might be different. And if you would have stored many objects here, then that time objects will have its own references and the characterization, right? We used to say that as a property, right? So it may have various properties to deal with, right? So in order to capture this, because what you are doing from your automation standpoint is that you don't want to log in all the time manually and then enter 100 users and log in and try that login is working fine. So what you are doing, you are capturing this object and making sure that every time I give you thousands of test data and click on sign in, it has to work. So for that matter, I need to capture an object, right? That is capturing an object or web object. In order to do that, it's a web elements or controls, as you rightly mentioned, Hari. That is, it's a web element or the collection of web elements and controls which is placed in the web application. That is called objects, web objects.
So Bala, like I'm Raji here. So like as per your, the architectural diagram, under Tosca command you have given UA and BO, business objects. So you mean to say that business objects and web objects, everything to be the same?
No, it's all tied together in Tosca commander. That's all. Okay, and it is not having interrelationship here that UI is always having a business object tied with it. No. Okay, and see, business objects is another feature. Okay, and when you install Tosca, you will come to know that. Yeah, I'll try to cover that on the later sessions, but just try to understand that UI is a feature, test case design is a feature, business object is a feature, and test planning is a feature. You just try to relate it like, okay, Tosca commander consists of all these features, and then connected with the common repository as well as TDM repository. Try to understand it in that way. That's easier.
Okay, fine. So like we are storing all the test data in the TDM repository.
Absolutely, yes. And again, when you use repository or when you use test data, right? That is depends on your use case. Okay. For example, you have 10. For login, you have 10 set of users, which you always use for your login test. which means, this is called static data, right? It is not going to be dynamic at all. So in that case, you go for TCD design. That is called, static data storing and then passing it to a test. But TDM is a different thing altogether, and TDM is the test data management, which is maintained, which uses the dynamic data, right?
Okay.
So that's a little bit advanced feature, and I will cover that as a separate session, Raji. But right now, try to understand that it is a repository, right? And it's a way of storing a data. That is what TDM.
Okay, okay, Bala. Thanks, Bala. Yeah, thank you so much.
And Bala,
Alright.
like the common repository is nothing but it is the metadata related to the Tosca tool.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, Tosca itself is having a, Tosca server, as you see here. Tosca commander is talking to Tosca server, and then in this common repository, you will be having your license stored and user information stored, and all these things will be stored in the common repository. So from here, you will go ahead with creating a, repository instances and for your projects, and then you customize and use it in Tosca Commander. That's the way it works.
Sure. Thanks, Bala.
All right. Okay. So now I talked about web objects and elements, right? So that is handled by Tosca like this. This is the particular piece, okay? And let me go here. This is T box, okay? When I say scan, see in this case, I did a inspect element, right? So inspect element, I did it manually, and this is the browser's Chrome browser's a feature to inspect an element and identify what are the properties which it has, right? But in Tosca, it is very easy. Okay, T-box scan is just the thing which you need to do. That is, you just have to launch that URL to Amazon.in URL, and it gives you all the loaded data in the Tosca commander. And in that, if you want to select, for example, I can show you, right? See, if you, as soon as you log in, right, it will give all the objects present in this web like this. Okay, not like this. It will show with the different properties which you wanted to select. For example, you wanted to perform an operation in this text box and in this continue button only. You don't want to go and test this, or this is a less priority for you, but still it's a priority, but you don't want to test these things. Okay, so in that case, whether you go ahead for this particular test, you just capture these two elements and go ahead. That's all. Just scan it. It will work. That's the way it is.
Okay, so you mean to say that like as soon as the web page is launched, like all possible web elements will be captured and kept it. So like whatever like we are using, we can use it and it will be accessible. And if not also, then it might be useless. So according to our like use case, it will be utilized.
Absolutely right.
The web elements will be made use of.
Yes, T-box will, I think few of the people may have UFT experience, will be knowing the recording option of, UFT, right? So the same option is available here also, where you don't know what to capture, what not to, right? In that case, you just go ahead with the recorder feature, so that it captures everything, okay? And whatever the action which you want to perform in your test, you can select that as well. That also Tosca provides.
Then what is the difference between scan and recorder, Bala? Because scan also like it will like as soon as the URL is launched, it will scan all the web elements. Then recorder
will, right now, we are recording this session, right? But when I wanted to choose, a specific portion of the, this particular session, then I go and do it manually. But now the recording will do the entire session, recording, right? That's the same way, right? Scan, when you wanted to perform, you perform for the specific objects, okay, on the web page which you are, dealing with on a daily basis. But recorder will simulate your actions and put it as a test case for you. You can run it anytime. But the challenge there is with the recorder option is that it will work with the user data which you have given only, right? Again, you need to parameterize it again and then use it for the multiple tests. It may be tedious in recorder option, but scan option is specific to a specific activity which you do as a module. That's the way it is.
Okay, Bala.
All right. Okay. So so what is this? For example, these things, T-box modules are created in the .NET framework. Okay. And which is having a code background behind, and it will not be, visible to you, but it will capture and put it as a test case for you. This is what T-box does. Okay. And in this T-box, this is completely related with your web application, which is developed in Java, .NET, AngularJS, and all these UI technologies, Ajax, UI UX, and all these will be handled by the T-box modules. Okay, and what is OSV? OSV is non-UI applications. For example, right now Amazon.com is not at all available to me. It is throwing me an error 4.4, which means it is not accessible by me now, right? So in that case, still I want to communicate with the Amazon server. How do I do? Which means for that I will use APIs. Okay, and Tosca supports the API testing also. That is, what is API? Application Programming Interface. Every application will be having a UI layer and data layer, and then this API will directly communicate with your server. For that, UI layer is not at all required. Only database layer is connected. That is enough, and then it directly communicate with your presentation layer. That's why API testing is right now is getting a lot of opportunities from the testing standpoint, where API testing is you don't need a web application to perform an action. So for example, Amazon.com, same Amazon.com, for which I need an application to perform all the activity which I have said, right? But right now I launched this Amazon.com and it is showing me 404.4. What happens? I will not be able to perform any purchase, right? But with the API, you will place a request to Amazon, and Amazon will process that request, and still you will get the product released for you. And in the background, APIs are running. APIs will not have any outage. Okay, and APIs, for that matter, I won't say it will not have outage, but it works seamlessly all the time, because it always having a communication with the server. But when you say UI application, for example, tomorrow 1,000 users are logging and trying to apply a same product, right? Amazon UI server may go down, but this UI layer, this API layer will not go down at all, right? Or the possibility is very less. Okay, that's why API testing is the one of the emerging, or it's already exists, but API testing now in the market, definitely it is also having different tools are offered in the market, that is SOAP UI, Parasoft SOA, and all those tools are also providing an extensive web service and UI testing, API testing. But having said that, Tosca is also providing it. How it is providing? Using the OSV, that is Orchestrated Service Virtualization module. Through using .NET, they have created some standard modules which user can use to test the API also. Suppose your application is having API and your application is having UI also, but UI is down, but still you need to perform a testing. You can still do that with this OSV module, and you can give sign off. Okay, so that is the OSV part, and finally it comes to a Tosca server. And Tosca server.
Bala,
Yes.
Hari, Bala. Sorry to interrupt you. So within the architecture, like now I am able to get it, like we got different components to test the web apps, web application, and as well as, like, as you just explained, the API sort of. And the question is, like, do we have any kind of feature or functionality to test thick clients, like those applications that run on our local desktops?
Absolutely. Yes, Hari. Yeah, Tosca scans it differently. Okay, and Tosca has this scanning feature, right? This scanning feature is there for the desktop or thick client applications also. Yes, and it handles the Windows objects also. For example, you wanted to test, the some tool or the Windows forms or Oracle forms or the database itself, right? So which is installed in your system, right? So those are all called thick client applications or desktop or software applications or product, for which also Tosca offers an extensive scanning mechanism where again you can go ahead and scan it, and it's exactly like a UFT, okay, and micro focus UFT. And I don't know how many of you are having experience with UFT, but this Tosca is the additional wrapper class which is written on a .NET framework. That's all. UFT is developed in the VB family, and .NET Tosca is from the .NET family. That's all. But it's all from the Microsoft family. And .NET framework, they have written extensive APIs as well as framework and wrapper class to make this Tosca appears like a scriptless framework. That's what Tricentis have done, and that's why Tricentis have a different stake altogether in financial institutions and healthcare institutions, because earlier there is a myth that only developers or UFT developers will do always dealing with testing with UFT, and they don't go to Selenium, and Selenium users will not learn Tosca. Our Selenium users will not know UFT at all. But with respect to Tosca, what they are trying to do is they wanted to bridge this knowledge gap that any manual tester also can automate their use case on a day-to-day basis with minimal, programming knowledge. And whatever Tosca offers is, I would say that 70% of the use cases can be automated. Yes, remaining 30% definitely case to case, your application complexity, and if you are running with the mainframe legacy applications and all, yes, it is having limitations or challenges, but Tosca is addressing all the corners of that.
Sure.
To answer your question, yes, thick client also, it is supporting. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So finally, the Tosca server, right? So all this Tosca commander, debugs, and everything internally communicates, and then finally, Tosca server has REST APIs, admin console, TDS web service, interactive testing service, exploratory testing service. Yes, someone asked the question, right? That exploratory testing, right? How Tosca offers, Tosca is going up with the pretty much framework, but how it offers the exploratory testing, which doesn't have any agenda, right? Yes, exploratory testing as a service it is providing, which means this is Tosca server has this exploratory testing feature as a service written in .NET, and that will be coming to you as the hands-on feature with recording mode and the exploratory mode, and where whatever you do with your application will be you wanted to perform an exploratory testing with the Tosca. Yes, it is possible with this exploratory testing service. And finally, this distributed execution, DEX. What does it mean, right? When I say testing, right, SDLC. So from coding to testing, this all SDLC we are trying to automate, right? That is what called DevOps, right? So different organizations use different terminologies for DevOps, but what they are trying to do is, earlier they were doing automation for a specific applications. But now they wanted to, automate the entire SDLC itself, right? So what is SDLC? Various stages like requirement collection and test planning, and then test case writing, and then automation, and then defect logging, and then mapping your requirement again with the test cases to see the traceability, and finally to ensure the sign off. All these things are part of your SDLC cycle. And now Tosca trying to integrate that with the CI/CD platform, that is continuous integration and continuous development. What does it mean? Continuous integration means with Tosca, you perform testing every time, right? You perform testing every time with Tosca and you give sign off. Okay, but you don't know when your developer deploys the code. If he is in US, he will deploy the code on his EST time. But how do you know that you have to perform the smoke test on that build next day, right? You don't know. You come and see, and then, oh, this guy has deployed something. I need to do a testing now, right? It happens to everybody, right? So why to do this, right? That also can be automated, right? You have your test cases in Tosca. You can automate. You can schedule. That is continuous integration, continuous development platform, and that is called a distributed execution means. So what happens is, as soon as the deployment cycle for a different product varies at different times and different schedules has been maintained, right? QA will not aware that, oh, okay, today is a release or today is the SIT testing I need to perform, right? After the deployment. This deployment happens differently for life cycle like agile, incremental development model, and a waterfall model. Different life cycles or different deployment cycles are used. But you need to realign your testing schedules based on their deployment cycle, right? When you have application ready, then only you will be able to perform a testing, right? So on that case, Tosca offers this continuous integration mechanism where it communicates with Jenkins or Jenkins platform and conduct execution unattendedly, right? When I say unattended, you just prepare your scripts, map that with your Jenkins platform, and your deployment schedule. Just schedule it, and you go home. Tosca executes that, and next day morning, you will have an email saying your smoke test executed, your regression test executed, and these many passed, these many failed. What happens here? It reduces your way of work. Everybody is doing testing, but Tosca, reduces this process, right? Reduces the time in, communicating, and then developers email, you may overlook that email. All these time is getting saved using Tosca CI. So that's why Tosca offers this. Okay, so that's all, which we have for this Tosca architecture. And so far, any questions?
Bala, like as part of the build or release process, if you see, see, like you told, like whenever we are having any new build, okay, so in that case, like anyhow, I have to, as a tester, I mean, Tosca architecture is there and components are there. So I have to feed in all the release details, right? Like build version, everything, like whatever or the prerequisites for the testing, I have to feed in, right? Like build version, etc., etc. Then only like it will start the testing, right? And it will execute the test results and it will give us the final test output or the test. And so like we have to, as a tester, we have to feed in, right?
What I'm saying is Tosca offers you all this in one platform. For example, you may have your requirements captured in ALM, right? Or Jira, right? And what I'm saying is Tosca can be integrated with those tools as part of a continuous integration, and then you don't have to do all that. That's what I'm trying to say.
So it can integrate with any part of tool, and then it can
Yes,
for?
integration.
Okay.
See, integration currently Tricent is offering, because as you see, ALM is a different tool, Jira is a different tool, which is maintained by
Yes.
different people. But
Yes.
in order to have all that in a single umbrella, right? Those two systems has to communicate again, right? So that will happen through APIs. Okay, and what will the Jira, for example, you are having your requirement and the release artifacts in Jira. Okay, you are maintaining that in Jira, and you have your automation test cases like regression test cases or sanity test cases in Tosca, right? But what happens is Tosca will give you an add-in or API which can communicate with this requirement management platforms or test management platform, and that ensures all your process related stuff, like you need to map your test cases and to ensure this release for which
Here,
you have.
Bala. Sorry to interrupt, Bala. Actually, that is for the new test case, it's okay. And for the existing also, it's fine. Like if you come to the bugs, okay, or like with, like especially with respect to the build version, okay, because like in my next release, like I might have different build version. So like in that case, like in Jira or in ALM, like I might have provided the build version. And so for execution, that is for the test case execution, it has to take up the particular build version. Okay, and it has to execute, because like all my changes have been deployed with respect to that particular build version. In that case, so like in Jira, like I have a column, for example, build version. I don't have any column to mention the build version, or if suppose there is a some columns like affected version, etc., etc., and fixed version. So like this Tosca will capture even that the version like in which it has to execute, and it will integrate and it will execute only with that particular build version. So for that also, like this Tosca has the embedded feature, or how it is, Bala? Or like will there be any place where we have to manually like code in the or how it
Okay.
is?
I got your question in a way that I think you are asking the Maven and Git repository standpoint, where you have a build which has a different version, and you have a different Tosca or Selenium scripts of a different version which you wanted to execute against that release, right? But yes, in Tosca also, Tosca, it doesn't have control over your build management of your web applications. Okay, Tosca doesn't have that build version controls, but Tosca has its own build version controls for the scripts which you are automating. For example, for release 1 you have automated 10 test case, and release 2 you had automated 15 test case, and all these 10 and 15, and out of which you have few cases which is part of a regression candidate, that you can mark it and have it, and marked against as against your mapping to your release or requirement. But having said that, you need to use the requirement feature for that. You have to use the requirement feature of Tosca for that. Otherwise, it will be like a standalone only.
Okay, Bala. Okay, Bala. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So this is about Tosca architecture so far, and let me cover a few things. Which you need to know before you go ahead with your testing. Right. The candidates who haven't attended, yesterday's session, for them, I just wanted to cover, like, what are the things which Tosca offers, right? So, as you see here, it has a requirement management, okay? And for that requirement, you are writing a test case, okay? And these test cases can be automated, or you are able to automate or not able to automate, because manually you are writing 1,000 test cases, okay? And out of which 100 test case or 200 test case can be automated, or that 1,000 can be covered in one 100 test cases itself. This 1,000 functional test cases can be covered in 100 test case. So on that case, you just go ahead and capture the modules. That is called capturing a module in Tosca. Okay, and as part of that test case, like I told about test case design, right? So that test case design will provide you the data for the test. Okay, and then what happens? Now test cases is ready. Your login test is ready with the different data, right? Now what you're doing, you are executing this test that is stored in execution list. Okay, and then finally it executes and it gives you a report. That's called test status reporting. So for all this, Tosca is having a different features. That is, requirement is handled in requirement feature, test cases handled in test case feature. TCD again has a two different things, that is TCD and TDM, that is getting maintained. And then module is the way of capturing your web application, and then execution list, and then reporting. So you have all this connected by Tosca commander. Okay, and let me just give you a quick gist of how Tosca looks like, right? See, when I say module, right? Module, test cases, execution. This is the way Tosca offers. Okay, and when I say scan, yeah, Hari was asking a question about how to go about scanning a thick client applications or thin client applications or mobile applications or non-UI applications like API. So you will have various options over here: application, API, mobile, PDF, host, and more. And it provides all the way of scanning methods or scanning techniques to capture your elements to perform a testing on that object.
So, Bala, here one small question. So here mobile testing is also possible, is it? Using
Yes.
Tosca? Oh,
But
it's
for
great.
that add-in is required. That add-in is coming up with the latest versions, but I'm worried or I'm feared that it may not be available with the demo versions which you are trying to install. Yes, but to give a hands-on, definitely you guys can try with the UI applications. To simply try in whatever the guide which I gave you. In that itself, there is a demo web application is there from which you will be able to do that.
Okay, it's great, Bala. Yeah, thank you so much. And if it is a mobile testing, then it has to obviously support different types of mobiles, right? Like Android platforms, different platforms.
Absolutely. For that add-ins are there. Yes, Tosca had that add-ins, but it is available with the specific versions. Like for example, from Tosca 13, I think from Tosca 12 version, they have started supporting the mobile application platforms. And from Tosca 12, yes, you have add-ins to support the mobile applications. Mobile application testing also.
Okay. Okay, it's great, Bala. Thank you so much.
Right. And when it comes to just wanted to say that how does that test case looks like, right? So for example, in test case module, this is the tab which you went in, and then you can create like whatever I said, right? You launch the Amazon URL, and then login is a use case, and then searching is a use case. For all this, you can create a test case over here, or you capture it and drag and drop it, it will come automatically. But like I mentioned, for this, you don't need any scripting knowledge as such, but your application functional knowledge is completely mandatory, that what you need to do and what you don't. If you know that, you'll be able to do that.
For writing the test cases, Bala, like we can write in a simple, like normal, understandable English format, or you have any format of writing. Say, for example, like when you write, when you work with the Cucumber framework, and when we develop the feature file, we have a few, I mean, what to say, like few conditions, few keywords and all will be there. So like that, is there any restriction, or we can write in a very simple and easy and understandable English one, and it will be interpreted?
Yes. I see, whatever you are talking about is the behavior-driven development model. Okay.
Yes.
With Selenium, where you are writing a feature file with
Yes.
given, and that is
Step
understandable.
definition. Yes.
but in Tosca it is little different. Like I mentioned, you just capture an object and drag and drop it. That's all.
Okay. So everything is based upon web-based, web
Yes.
element-based thing. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And you capture an object for login and then perform an option for search and all
Okay.
this drag and drop, and you, for example, you wanted to perform a click.
Okay.
You just say it will do. Okay. And these actions will be, you will click over here. Probably in the interest of time, maybe next week, once you guys are having all this setup installation ready, I'll be giving hands-on. Our next trainer will definitely give you an hands-on on how to, go about doing capturing an object and then forming it as a test case, and then what are the different activities which you can do, and what are the do's and don'ts, and what is the best practices of maintaining a test case, and how to configure. For example, right? You wanted to test this login for a different environment, right? You may have a lower environment like dev, SIT, UAT, and then pre-prod and all the environments. But you have created a test case and you wanted to run it in prod, right? So simply just run it with the configuration parameters, which you can pass it. For that also, customizable. Tosca is customizable for that also, but those are all little different advanced stuff which may be covered in the next session. Okay.
So it's mainly GUI based, graphical user interface based. So everything is
it's a drag and drop.
drag and drop. Yeah, GUI based.
When you say, when I said many things, right? Standard modules, classic modules, like I said. So all you need to know is, you need to know how to use that module. You need to drag and drop and you form your test case. That's all. And you perform an action on it, it's going to work. That's all. And when you say it's IE, it's going to run on IE. And when you say your configurable parameter as a Chrome, that test case is executed in Chrome. That's the way it can be configurable.
So it's supportable on all different browsers.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. As long as your application supports different versions of browser, yes, Tosca also does.
And one more thing, Bala, like cross-browser testing is also like available, is it?
Yes, multi-browser compatibility.
Multi-browsers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's what it is.
And apart from the browsers, Bala, like if you have to do some desktop related testing, I mean, like if you have to test in any specific desktop, so desktop testing is also like applicable, or only web-based is only there?
You mean Windows operating system, Linux operating system, something like that?
No, desktop in the sense like, see, for example, like in the current project in which I'm working with, we used to test with web. A web in the sense like we can use Chrome or Edge or etc. Okay, Internet Explorer. So that is one type. And the another one is like we used to like install some desktop and then we used to perform the testing. Okay, desktop application testing. So the desktop application testing is also supported by Tosca or one, yeah.
That's what I told to Hari already raised this question, right? Yes.
Yes.
Desktop application, thick client applications, yes, it supports that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bala.
Okay. In the interest of time, any last question we will like to take up and close it for today? Any final question?
Yeah, hi Hari, Suganya here. So I have a question. Any other limitations for this Tosca where these Tosca is not cannot be applied to these applications, or any other constraints, limitations of Tosca?
Yes, Tosca has its limitations in terms of I would say ETL based web applications where your transformation logic keeps on changing. And yes, as Tosca AI feature, Tosca business intelligence features to support that, but the varying nature of the data modeling and all the requirements, yes, you may have to change your query all the time, because Tosca doesn't write a query for you, and pass it, and then only it addresses the it addresses your exact validations or verification. And this is about ETL test.
Actually, Bala, your voice is little bit breaking. I don't know if it happens only to me.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, better now. Yeah.
All right. So what I was trying to say is, from ETL testing standpoint, the requirements and data modeling requirements are getting complex, and then you do your test from source to stage and stage to target and stage to views and then reporting. All these things are little bit, as it changes, the requirements keeps on changes. With Tosca also, maintainability is little high, and then when I say with Tosca, you always has to consider your test case from event standpoint. You cannot, just think of, okay, today I automated login. I'm not going to touch that at all. No, it cannot be like that. As you move your test case, maintainability is a very huge factor in using Tosca. And if you go ahead, for example, you write 100 scenarios for login itself and you automated that, and tomorrow if that login page itself is changing, all those 100 is going to be obsolete for you. So
Yeah. So that happens with every automation tool, right? If there are frequent changes happening in the application, then it's your return on investment will be low, and you're not able to use the automation for it. I mean, so this happens with every automation tool. Specifically, I'm asking. So, see, these application cannot be used, or these type of applications, or these type of what is it? Apps. I mean, application, mobile application, mobile testing. These could not be done. These approach cannot be handled by Tosca. So if those kind of things are there, I'm asking about.
Yes, with respect to SAP applications and CRM applications, we had object identification issues, but we addressed that with Tricentis effectively, and then we get it sorted out. And part of that, Tosca had given a lot of materials or a lot of add-ins to us towards that version. So utilize them, and then SAP objects case to case or specific versions it will vary. And yes, with SAP technology we had a challenge, and then challenge with Tosca is the reporting framework which it uses PDFs. Okay? But a lot of customers or a lot of end users may not like your report to be in, because people are always used to the Excels. I have encountered with using Tosca, where it gives PDF reports extensively, but it is not recommended, or it is not liked by the end users. So there are case to case it has happened where again you have to go and write some VB scripts or .NET scripts to make sure that it works in Excel as well. So that's the little bit of reporting mechanism of Tosca is not well received. That's the challenge. That's
Yeah. Thanks, Bala. And it would be helpful if you could show one real-time scenario, if I mean in the coming sessions, or in if it permits in the session itself. A simple scenario, as you said, to log in, just a demo kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Demo is there, Suganya.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, in the upcoming session, definitely I will cover from the requirement to test case to capturing modules to execute, and then how that is ensuring that this entire SDLC things is getting captured in Tosca. So definitely I can give a demo on that.
Yeah, sure, Bala. Thank you for the queries.
Sure. Okay, then. Thank you, Bala. I think we are on top of the hour. First of all, on behalf of the RISE core team, I would like to thank Balaji for helping us on hosting this session today. Really, like I enjoyed the session, and I hope like the same with the audience. Thank you, Bala. Thanks it on. And I wish everyone a rest of the happy weekend. And we'll catch up on the upcoming session on 26th November.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Hari. Thank you, everyone.